Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you find this video. Okay, so today I want to talk about mental health. What is mental health? What are the key aspects of mental health? What factors influence mental health? Mental illnesses, common mental illnesses, their signs and symptoms, and so on and so forth. So to begin with, mental health encompasses emotional, psychological, and social well-being, significantly impacting how individuals think, feel, and act. So just from the definition, we see that it plays a very crucial role in managing stress, building healthy relationships, and overall life sanitation. Okay, so from our definition, we can look at three key aspects of mental health. Number one, emotional well-being. So emotional well-being involves the ability to manage and regulate emotions. There are so many emotions such as joy, sadness, anger, all those things. So emotional well-being involves such ones, being able to manage them and regulate them, and display the right one at the right time. Let's say, for example, something good happens. We are all expected to be happy, to be joyous, and when something bad happens, we are all expected to be sad, all those things. When our anger is triggered, we're expected to be angry. That is what we call emotional well-being, being able to display the right emotion at the right time. Okay, so the second one is psychological well-being. This one involves beliefs, thoughts, and self-perception. It includes being able to have a positive self-image, uh, uh, confidence, all those things. This is what this one is all about, being able to believe in yourself, And the third one is social well-being. This one involves the ability to form and maintain healthy relationships with others. Being able to feel connected and supported with social networks. We have friends, we all have friends, family members, being able to connect with them, being able to build relationships with them, being able to maintain those relationships, being able to interact with them. That's what we call social well-being. Yeah, so those are the three key aspects of mental health. Now, let us talk about the factors influencing mental health. Okay, so firstly, we'll talk about genetics. Family history can influence a person's predisposition to certain mental health conditions, So it influences mental health as well, Secondly, we'll talk about life experiences, things like traumatic events, stressful situations, such things can impact someone's mental health. Okay, so the third one we'll talk about is environment. Our environment matters, This is where we get social support, our friends and family are in the environment. This also has something to do with economic stability and access to resources, such as okay, we'll talk more about that one later. So it influences a person's mental health. Okay, then the last one I would talk about is substance abuse. Alcohol and drug abuse can affect mental health. They can affect a way someone thinks. It can make somebody to have poor judgment. Alcohol influence can make somebody to to make poor judgments, all that, and so on and so forth. So now let's talk about mental illnesses. So mental illnesses, we have a lot. There are a number of them, but there are 3 particular ones I want to discuss today. And these 3 are the most common. We'll still have to discuss the other ones, but today let's focus on these 3. Number 1, anxiety disorder. So anxiety disorder is a mental health condition or illness that is characterized by feelings of worry, anxiety, fear, and dread. And it's normal to be anxious. We all feel anxious at some point. We experience fear, worry. But in the case of anxiety disorder, such feelings are strong enough to interfere with one's daily activities. So there are signs and symptoms of anxiety disorder. These include breathing rapidly, panicking, trembling, feeling nervous. All those are signs and symptoms of anxiety disorder. Then the second one I'll talk about is depression. I think this is the most common one. I think everybody talks about depression. Oh, I'm depressed. If you're depressed, everybody knows depression. But what really is depression? So this refers to or should I say depression involves persistent low mood and loss of interest in activities. You find that somebody whose hobby was soccer, whose hobby was basketball, whose hobby was golf, they suddenly lose interest in all those things. Things they enjoyed before, but now makes no sense to them. So that's what depression does, It involves persistent low mood and loss of interest in activities. So signs and symptoms of depression involve distraction or lack of concentration. When a person is depressed, they lack concentration. They are distracted. Secondly, we can talk about insomnia. They experience lack of sleep. And vice versa. Some may sleep too much. They also feel sad, frustrated, all the signs and symptoms of depression. Then the last one is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. So this disorder can develop after experiencing a traumatic event such as rape, and it is characterized by intrusive thoughts, nightmares, and other signs and symptoms such as hallucination, vivid flashbacks, mistrust. Like when somebody experienced rape, they lose trust for almost everybody, especially men. In the case of women, if a woman was once raped as a girl growing up, she will lose trust in men. All men, everybody, So hallucination, if somebody experienced or witnessed a traumatic event such as a motor car accident that claimed lives, they tend to have flashbacks. So that's all I prepared for today. Yeah. And I'm encouraging each one of you to take care of yourselves mentally because it is very important. So, next time we'll talk about how we can do so.